It's hockey in May. It's a beautiful thing, and we haven't had it in a bit. The Capitals getting ready for round 2 here this morning at MetStar Capitals Iceplex. Tonight, game 1 of this best-of-7 second-round matchup between the Capitals and the Carolina Hurricanes. Hi, everybody. This edition of Rink Report brought to you by PenFed Credit Union. Great rates for everyone. It's exciting. We have not been here since 2018, where the Capitals have had a string of first-round exits, and even one time they didn't go at all. We've had a bubble and COVID since then, and now a full house in May at 7th and F and ready to go. Man, I'm excited for this.
And not only are they in the second round, John, they are playing well. They got through the first round in just 5 games. They are rested. Things are really looking up for this team. Logan Thompson, I mean, we always talk about how goaltending is the X factor in the playoffs. Is probably the best goalie in the tournament still right now. And so when I look at the second round, I have to just kind of, I don't want to get too giddy or too, put the cart ahead of the horse. But, man, the Caps are in good position.
I do like it when you get giddy.
Make a run.
It makes for good television, usually. We'll get to the goalies here in just a little bit, but just talking about a little bit of the scene setting. And one of the things that really hasn't happened for this team in the course of 15 years is finishing a series early. The last time they did it in 5 games, that worked out pretty well. There was no hockey after that. They won the Stanley Cup. But in 15 years, they hadn't finished a series in 5.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about what happened in 2019 in the only series these two teams have ever played previously.
Do we have to?
We will briefly discuss.
Okay.
It did not end well.
No.
But the fact that you had a series that ended in 5 games, and I talked with Tom Wilson about this a little bit, where it was very businesslike in how they finished it. There was no drama in the first round. There was no having to come from behind. Every series, even in 2018, they were down in the series at some point. There was no drama here. I like that.
Yeah, very businesslike. And, just when you think of the circumstances now, they had 5 days off. I know Carolina had 6, but, some of the Capitals' key players are a little older, and that's something Coach Carberry talked about the other day. Alex Ovechkin getting a chance to recharge was something that Carberry pointed out. That could be very beneficial for this team. Carlson looked like he might have been playing through something early in that Montreal series. He had a chance to get right. So the fact that some of these key guys were able to take some time off and kind of ramp up for round 2, and they're not playing a team that just came off like a 7-game series, because something Coach Carberry pointed out the other day, he said, rest versus rust is a very fine line.
Yes.
And he pulled out a stat about teams coming off of Game 7s and how they perform in Games 1. Both teams had a bit of a reset there. So I think they're going to be on equal footing. But I just feel like because the Capitals have some older guys who could benefit more from the rest, I feel like they might have the little bit of the edge going into Game 1.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the goalies, because Logan Thompson's fingerprints were all over the first round. And even though he left in Game 3, ends up winning 4 times, and in doing it on home ice where this team was really difficult to beat, made the big save when it was needed. Love the way that he's playing, and for the analytics of it all, and I know that that's your game.
Yeah.
Or the second best goalie that's left in the tournament, where a guy like, and I think it's kind of funny, Aiden Hill was like 14th, and the guy that he tag team with last year. But Vegas very much in the second round here as well. But there's no denying that one of the biggest reasons, other than 5-on-5 play for Washington, was to play Logan Thompson.
Yeah, he's been outstanding, and you nailed it. It's not just the volume of saves, it's the time when he makes those saves. I mean, it's such an important position all year, but especially in the playoffs. And it allows the team to play with more confidence. It allows the team to take more chances offensively when you know your goalie is playing at an elite level. And if you mess up, if you maybe take too big of a risk, LT's got your back.
This year, goals above expected, by the way.
I love
this is a graphic that Tarik really enjoys.
Look at that.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, LT has been one of the best all season long. There was a little bit of a dip in his play there after he signed the big contract, but there was a dip in a lot of players on this team in their play, and I feel like that was just a little bit of human nature. There wasn't a whole lot to play for. They were going to win the conference. They were going to win the division, obviously. They knew that, the previous year when they had to expend all of that energy just to get into the playoffs, they had nothing left in the tank when they finally got there. there. And so, LT, to me, John, he is playing the way he did in December and January when we were on this show all the time going, hey, can someone re-sign this guy already before he
there was a lot of lobbying from this table. There was.
Priced himself out of the cap structure for the Capitals.
Let's talk a little bit about the goaltending on the other side. Freddie Anderson will get the start in Game 1, we believe, for Carolina. Pyotr Kochetkov, pretty good goalie in his own right, backup. So they've got similar depth, I think, in goal. But Freddie Anderson, he got hurt, and then we didn't see him the end of the series against New Jersey. He is going to be back, but this is a guy that over the course of his career has trouble staying healthy. He has when he has been in the lineup, especially in the series against New Jersey. He was really good. The Capitals going to have to generate second chances on him.
He was outstanding. .936 save percentage, goals against average 1.59 before he got hurt. Goals saved above expected, also outstanding.
You just get a smirk on your face when you say that. It's really nice.
Love it. He's so good, but you're right. Injury prone. That's always kind of been his bugaboo, right? I mean, that's always been the knock on him. Is he doesn't seem to be able to play an entire season without getting injured. He also just signed an extension with Carolina, so he's going to be sticking around. But I think you just brought up a really good point, because when you look at the vulnerabilities of the Hurricanes, and they don't have many weaknesses, but one thing in the analytics that jumps out is they are not really good around their own net. Anderson kicks out a lot of rebounds, and they give a lot of second opportunities up. So for me, one of the keys to this series, John, is going to be at the blue paint on both ends. Again, when you're in front of Carolina's net, you're going to want to find those rebounds and get those past Anderson. When you are in front of your own net, you're going to want to box out, because they throw everything and the kitchen sink at the net, and that's how they score their goals. Is they just come at you in waves, and they make you feel like you're drowning because they're just firing everything at you, and then eventually a shot hits something and goes in, or a rebound kicks out and they score.
It's time to get in the DeLorean and get in the Wayback Machine. Tarik and I going back to 2019. There's a couple of defining moments in that series. Yeah, Brock McGinn, double overtime, Game 7 wasn't great. How about Alex Ovechkin? Remember when Andrei Svechnikov was young and spry and maybe didn't know any better? Yeah, I remember too. And I remember this is what happened. Svechnikov came at the King, and you best not miss, and you missed, and this is what happened. Swing and a miss, and see you later. And he was down for the count. That was my best favorite memory of 2019. Look at that.
That probably was the highlight of the series, given how it turned out.
Yes, it was.
But, Ovi, I don't know how many fights he had in his career, but it wasn't many. But that one right there, I mean, that was...
I remember even on the call of that being shocked that it was happening. It's like the words are coming out of your mouth, and it still doesn't jive with what you're seeing. Ovechkin and Svechnikov, and Ovechkin with a huge takedown. These two teams, he found out, all right. This is, I think, when you look at things like that, Carolina wins that series in 7. You look at what happened in April. You go back to the Southeast Division days. You look at a team that Alex Ovechkin has haunted since he was drafted in 04 in Carolina. This matchup is two teams that don't like each other. And that animosity and playing to that edge without going over it. And the Caps went over it in Game 3. Tom Wilson specifically, and he talked about it, and then he reined it in, and look what happened. They won, and they were very businesslike in how they did it. Rein it in, but use it against these guys. It's not going to be hard to hate these guys and vice versa.
There's definitely some hate built in here. I mean, just go think back to April 2nd down there in Raleigh. I mean, I forget how many penalty minutes there were in those final 5 or 6 minutes.
Like 1,000.
That game went off the rails. And so I think that's another key. You know, I talk about boxing out in front of Logan Thompson and getting to those rebounds in front of Anderson. I also feel like a key is going to be managing your emotions, because I don't want to say that Carolina has the number of pests that like a Florida does, but they do tend to get under your skin. They have a bunch of abrasive guys. They play hard.
Yeah.
They are on top of you. They can be abrasive. They got sandpaper, all the cliches. And so it's going to be incumbent upon Tom Wilson and company to rein in their emotions. Play hard, play physical, play with emotion, but don't go over. Don't let those tempers boil over, because you put them on the power play, they will make you pay.
Going to talk a little bit. We're going to get to Spencer Carbery here in a minute, but Rod Brind'Amour, 7 straight years has gotten his team out of the first round. Rod Brind'Amour hockey is a thing.
Good coach.
And a great coach, and a guy who you have to find the right pieces to play for him. Mikko Rantanen was not one of those pieces.
And he figured that out in a couple of weeks.
He figured that out and said, oh, no, this is not for me.
Nope.
But the guys who come down and play for Rod and stay there play the way that he dictates. In a lot of ways, like John Tortorella, in a lot of ways. It's either you love playing for him or you don't.
Yeah.
And not nearly as volatile, say, with the media as John might be. But he very much gets his guys to play the way he wants to play.
Yeah.
They create momentum seemingly off nothing, and they have had trouble making deep runs themselves. Getting out of the first round has been relatively easy for them.
Second round's been
it's been harder, and now that these teams meet in round two, I can't wait to see how this one's going to play out. But as far as Rod is concerned, these guys are going to be ready to go, and the energy they're going to generate in the first 10 minutes tonight is going to be off the charts.
Yeah, the point you're making about momentum is so true about this team. And like I said a moment ago, like the way Brenda Moore's teams win games is they make you feel like you're drowning. And that's the only way I can put it. They throw so many pucks at the net, and they do such a good job on puck recoveries. And then they get you hemmed in your own end for 30 seconds. And then maybe you get the puck to center ice and you go for a line change, but you got to get back on the ice real quick because you only got it to center ice. And now the puck's coming right back into your own end. And then one bad shift when you're hemmed in becomes two bad shifts when you're hemmed in. Then becomes three, then becomes four. And before you know it, everyone's on the bench going, oh my God. They just keep coming. They keep coming. We can't get the puck in their own in the fun end, and we're just defending. And that's not the Capitals' game. So they're going to do a really good job on their breakouts and just not allow them to dictate and gain that momentum because you can just feel it with them building. It's like. Here it comes, and then sure enough, the puck ends up hitting something that goes in the net, and now it's 1-0, and then it's 2-0, and then the crowd at home starts sitting on their hands, and you can just see the way things can go bad. It's so important for the Capitals to not allow them to seize control early.
Spencer Carberry talking about making sure that momentum doesn't stay in Carolina's favor and more this morning in Meeting the Media here at MedStar Capitals Iceplex.
I think at this level, guys do a real good job of. They've been through this, whether even in junior, college, American League level, or they've been through it at this level. You get good at managing the highs, lows, the momentum, the nerves of it, away from the rink. You find little mechanisms to get your mind away from it, and then when you show up, they're real good at it being very routine, and that's why routines are so important for these guys, is because they just, once they get to the rink, they know what they do. They have breakfast, they talk to this guy, they watch this show, and then it's just finding mechanisms of keeping your mind on the task at hand and not the big picture. And so most of the guys, and experience comes into play, right? And that's why it's so valuable this time of year. But yeah, I don't find that's a real big part of the preparation, or we need to talk about as coaches.
Their special teams were outstanding in the first round.
Yeah.
Power play, Gostisbehere, Aho, Jarvis. I think they were over 30%. PK didn't give a single goal. What are the challenges? Let's start with PP and then go to the
Yeah. Yeah, they had quite the first round against Jersey, and Jersey was a real good power play going into that series. If you remember, they had lost Jack Hughes, and they still continued to produce at a pretty high clip, and their penalty kill, I want to say, was top 5 in the league as well in the regular season. So that's going to be a huge part of the series. Special teams, no different than every series, but especially with the first round that Carolina had on the power play, on the penalty kill. Their penalty kill has been perennial powerhouse for years now, and that's going to be a challenge for us, not only to have productive power plays, but also not give them momentum, which their penalty kill does a really good job at generating momentum for the rest of their team, the next shifts after, the next 5-10 minutes. It's significant. So, you know, the discipline inside the series, like we're sort of the way the games looked from our standpoint in Game 4 and Game 5 in the Montreal series of nothing after the whistle. Everything we do from a physicality standpoint will be between the whistles, and that's our objective. And the odd power play or penalty kill that we need to do a job. So, yeah, I talked about the penalty, the power play. You mentioned the weapons that they have on it. They've got a good little mix there. They've used some different rotations. They've got shooters on both flanks that can bomb it with Jarvis, Aho, and Blake's been a good complement to that group as well, and Gostisbehere for my money. And I didn't really know him before this year. Like, I watched him obviously a little bit. He's had a long career in the league, but man, he looks like either I didn't follow him closely enough, or running a first unit power play. And I've watched thousands of hours of power. He's right up there with his deception and his shot too. So you have to respect his shot up top, and he can go pump fake, walk you. He's got all the tools that you look at the top power play quarterbacks in the NHL. He's got them.
Spencer Carberry, Jack Adams Award finalist for Coach of the Year. That's happened since we talked to you last, talking with the media this morning here at MedStar Capitals Iceplex, and you had asked him there about Carolina special teams and special teams as a whole. If you go back to the first round against Montreal, the 5-on-5 play was terrific, and line matching was tremendous, especially as the series went on, and Spencer Carberry doing a great job of getting the guys out even on the road that he wanted.
Right.
But special teams, I mean, you can break it down any way you want to, and you can say, oh, bounce here, bounce there, it wasn't as bad as it looked. Maybe, but they've still got 5 goals on you.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to do that against Carolina. This power play is too good. Special teams on both sides of it, whether you're power play or penalty kill, it's going to be a huge, huge part of this.
I think only 2 teams advanced out of the first round that lost the special teams battle. So it matters in the regular season, but it's magnified in the postseason. And right now, the Cap special teams, a little cold. Power play and penalty kill. Hurricanes, smoking hot on both ends. The PP is one of the best in the league, over 30%. They got triggermen on both sides of their end of the ice, and Gostisbehere. You heard Carberry there just go on about how he was unfamiliar with his game and how good he is running the top of that power play. He can pump fake you. He's got a great shot that you have to respect. He can walk the line. He can distribute. You got Aho. You got Jarvis. I mean, you got Svetch. I mean, it's a dangerous power play. And, fortunately for the Capitals, they got Aliaksei Protas back on the PK, and that's made a big difference. I thought it was a lot better in Game 5 in the first round than it was previously. Just having him back out there, I think, helps a lot. But, I think the Caps can help themselves by, like we were saying earlier, don't take any dumb penalties. Don't give any extra power plays to the Hurricanes, because when they get out there, they are going to stress you, and they are going to put pucks on net, and they're probably going to get 1 or 2, here in D.C. in these first 2 games. But you can't give them those extra opportunities. So, keeping your head about you, but also, having Protas back out there on the PK, I think that's good. That's going to help them a lot.
I had a chance to talk with Spencer this morning for radio for our pregame tonight, and I asked him specifically about Aliaksei being able to get that last game of the series and to be able to get it underneath him. And he talked about, it is, as you try to catch a moving train in the playoffs, there is great value, even with a week-long layoff, of being able to say, okay, like elevating, being able to close a team out. But he also said something there that I think is very interesting that he touched on this morning with us, was you're going to see Aliaksei start to move around the lineup a little bit. Yeah. I read that as being he's become more acclimated. This is a guy who's been a top 6 guy all year. I don't think he's certainly not going to stay where he is at 4 right wing for this entire series. Will he move up at some point if the need for offense is there? Yeah,
I agree with you. They kind of had the training wheels on there in Game 5. They wanted to see how he got through the game. He still played 15, 16 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So, they're going to use him on bump-up lines, coming off of special teams. They're going to use him a little bit more on the PK. I do think you're going to see him get some shifts. And then we did last series. You're going to see him get some shifts in that top 6. But, that's one of the beautiful things about Protas is he can play just about everywhere. They won't let him play on the power play yet. But that's coming. That's coming. That's coming.
Maybe not this spring, but at some point soon next year, yes.
But his flexibility really matters, and the fact that he can fit in on the first line, he can play on the 4th line. He was really good on that 4th line, by the way.
Really good.
I always say 4th line. It's really the 3rd line, but the down line.
Yes,
shall we say?
I think it's a better way to describe
what we didn't talk about was Carolina's PK. It hasn't even given up a goal yet.
Yeah, they were perfect.
15 for 15.
The good news is there's only one direction to go from here, and that's down. So we'll hope for that.
Yeah.
A little while ago, our Katie Florio caught up with Aliaksei here at MedStar Capitals Iceplex.
Well, Aliaksei, first and foremost, thank you for joining Rink Report today. And for you, how does it feel to finally be back in the lineup in the most important time of year?
Yeah, it feels great. It felt pretty long, you know. Even if it was like a couple of weeks, you still miss it, you know. You want to be like back with the boys, just skating, you know, have fun, and yeah, finally great to be back, and so happy to get it going.
We know playoffs are a different breed, a different animal, so when you do have to jump right back in the first round after almost a month off away from the ice, how do you do that and be able to do so while catching up to speed and try not to miss a beat?
Yeah, I tried to feed off the boys' energy first 4 games, you know. I've been watching, just cheering, and watching from up top. The energy was unreal. The home crowd was buzzing. Even in Montreal, it was a great atmosphere, you know, to just see it and feel it. And when they got back in there, again, I was just feeding off my boys and just try to play my best.
You mentioned watching from up top. Obviously, you want to be on the ice contributing, but to be up there, a place where we don't see you often in the press box, does it kind of give you maybe a different perspective to watch a game, to watch most of that series from there? And are you able to pick out things that maybe you typically wouldn't?
Yeah, absolutely. You could see something different from up top. Like all the things we talk about, you can see it really works when we play our game, you know. And yeah, maybe from up top it looks a little bit easier. You feel like you're the best playmaker ever from the top, but you know, when you see you could make that play, but you understand how hard is it and how heavy the game is, how fast the game is in the playoffs. And yeah, it's been fun watching from up top, but for sure I prefer to be with the boys and play.
Well, we are certainly happy that you're also back with the boys. A big series. Round 2 starts with Carolina tonight. A tough team that does not give you a lot of time and space. What are your takeaways from the regular season with the Hurricanes that you'll have to contain tonight and try to get this win in Game 1?
Yeah, we know them well. They know us well. You know, it's going to be a great matchup, great series, and I think we're prepared. We know what can we take positive from the wins and obviously all the games, but we're also prepared to we know what to expect, and we're prepared for that.
And last one for you. 7 years since this team advanced out of the first round. So start round 2 here tonight, home crowd, Capital One Arena. How much do you try to also just enjoy it? It's obviously there's nerves, it's a lot going on, but enjoy what you all have worked so hard for this season.
Yeah, it's been so special to feel the support from the fans, from everyone, you know, and yeah, we had a successful regular season, but I don't think it really matters in the playoffs. It's a fresh start for us. Every series, it's pretty much fresh start, and we got to be ready for this. You know, we're excited about the home crowd, home start. It's going to be special, and we're excited.
Well, thanks, Pro. We can hear they're certainly excited behind us, too. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, great stuff with Aliaksei Protas and Katie here as we get ready for tonight. One of the things we saw in the first round, Pierre-Luc Dubois tasked with trying to shut down the Caulfield line and did so very well. A lot of D-zone starts for PLD.
Oh, yeah.
I could definitely see some more points coming his way, 2 assists in the first round, but that's not an indicator of what his game has been all about. What he has done is played exquisite defense, and when you've got the top line that this team does, you got Svechnikov, right, you got Aho, you got Blake. Right. That ain't nothing to mess with. That's right, the Caulfield line in round 2, essentially, and you're going to see a lot of Pierre-Luc Dubois against those guys tonight.
It's going to be much easier for Coach Carberry to get him out there against that line as well. He's not going to have to, do it on the fly as he did in Montreal. So I think you're going to see Dubois out with that line a lot more at the start of at the face-off dot in the D zone. I think you're going to see Jacob Chychrun and John Carlson out there a lot against that line, and that's really the key. I mean, I feel like in a lot of ways Carolina reminds me of the Capitals. They don't really have a star player. They've got a lot of really good hockey players with some guys who are kind of teetering on the verge of stardom. Aho,
Jarvis,
Aho. Yeah, and we have Strome and Ovi, of course, still, and Chychrun on the back end, but there isn't that first team all NHL player on either team.
Like Mikko Rantanen, for instance.
You keep going back to that. I love that. So I feel like the gap between their top guys and their bottom guys is very tight, just like the Capitals, and that's why a guy like Dubois and the job he can do against Aho, and if you're a hockey nerd, and I think you're a hockey nerd, I'm kind of a hockey nerd.
Yeah, more so you than me, but
I really, really enjoy watching what those guys do in the D end, and just every once in a while, I'll just really lock in on 80 and just watch the job he's doing.
Love watching him play.
I think I've told this story before, but there was a game against Edmonton late in the series, and I was working in the corner. I was at ice level, and McDavid looked like he wanted to crash out. Like he was like a -3, no points, and Dubois kind of sees me
back half of a 2-2 for them, if I remember correctly. I was like, I'm not having any fun anymore. It's time to go.
And Dubois kind of saw me, and he kind of winked right before the face-off, won the face-off, and you could see McDavid just went straight for a line change. He was just done. I mean, that's how good a defensive player Dubois has become. I've said this a million times. I mean, he just plays like the son of a coach. He just is never out of position. His stick is in the right spot. He back checks hard. He's sneaky physical. I mean, he's a huge man. I mean, we talk about how big Tom Wilson is. I think PLD's bigger. I mean, He looks like a linebacker. And so not only does he have the defensive detail, he also, just because he's so big and he leans on you for those first 20 minutes, then the middle 20 minutes, by the final 20 minutes, you've been pushed out of the game. You're just like, I mean, if you don't have any points and you're an opposing player, you just want to get on the bus. You want to take a shower and get out of there because he has owned you, especially at home.
So the Capitals and Carolina, the best of 7, getting going tonight at 7 o'clock. You can see starting at 6. Remember, the games are all national the rest of the way, but pregame and post right here on Monumental Sports Network starting at 6 o'clock tonight. One thing I boldly predict you will not see is Andrei Svechnikov knocking on Alex Ovechkin's door again. He will not go back for seconds. That will not happen. If it does, it'd be really funny, though. But I don't think that's going to happen tonight. These two teams, what a matchup we got. Washington, Carolina. Hope you're excited for it. We are. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Rink Report, brought to you by PenFed Credit Union. Great rates for everyone.